In this third and final part of my presentation of the Memozine diary functionality, I will talk about some additional features such as diary entries that span multiple days, child diary entries, and diary statistics. You may want to record in your diary information about events that took place over a period of time and not just on one day. As an example, I will assume that this summer I went on holiday to France for a couple of weeks, and I want to record information about that. So let's say that my holiday started on the 4th of August. I'll open a diary page for that date and add a new diary entry. By default, this diary entry is for that particular date, the 4th of August. But I can use the multiple dates button to indicate that I want the diary entry to span a number of days. So I want this diary entry to cover the period of my holidays, which started on the 4th of August and ended, say, on the 18th of August. And let's say that this is an event that is of high importance to me, and create the diary entry in which I will enter some text, holidays in France. Now, if I open a diary page for another date during that period, the same diary entry is included automatically because the diary entry applies to every day during the period I specified. If I edit the text of the diary entry, let's say I'll make it a bit bigger to look at some kind of title. The text change I make are automatically reflected in other diary pages that are open because it is the same diary entry. Similarly, if I add an image to the diary entry, the image appears on every page in which the diary entry is included. I may now want to record some information about specific things I did during and as part of my holidays in France. Memozine has a useful concept for this purpose, which is the concept of a child diary entry. A child diary entry is a secondary diary entry which is associated with a higher level diary entry. Using child diary entries, you can create multiple diary entries that pertain to the same topic and keep them nicely together as a unit. So as an example, let's say that during my holidays in France, I visited Paris. I would like to record some information about this. In order to do so, I'm going to create a child diary entry by right-clicking on the circular icon on the left-hand side of the higher level diary entry and choose the Add New Child Entry menu item. The child diary entry may belong to a different category than the parent higher level diary entry. It may have a different level of importance and or a different audience if you so wish. So I will say that I have been visiting Paris on that day. A child diary entry may itself span multiple days. So let's say that I actually spent several days in Paris, and to record that, I'm going to edit the properties of my child diary entries, and again use the multiple days button and specify that this diary entry is for the period from the 8th of August through to the 11th of August. Let's make this a little bigger. Now, if I open a diary page for another date that is within that period, both diary entries appear automatically because they also apply to that date. A child diary entry may itself have child diary entries. So let's say that I want to record some information about something I did on the 10th of August while visiting Paris. I can add a child diary entry to the visiting Paris diary entry. And let's say that on that day I walked along the River Seine and went to the top of the Eiffel Tower. A diary entry may have multiple child diary entries, so let's add another one. Maybe something about the weather. And I say that on that day the weather was very nice. Some little buttons appear on the left-hand side of those different diary entries. You can use some of those buttons in order to show or hide the child diary entries depending on whether you want to see them or not at a particular time. Here there is a button with a minus symbol. When I click on it, all the child diary entries are hidden. The button shows a plus symbol instead, and when I click on it, the diary entries are displayed again. This applies at all levels, so I can also hide or show the diary entries that are associated with the visiting Paris intermediate level entry. Then there is a button with an up arrow sort of symbol, and this can be used to navigate from a child diary entry to its parent diary entry. Another feature of diary pages that can be useful is the diary statistics feature. Diary statistic is a piece of information that you can record about a particular day, and that takes a numeric value or a value out of a finite list of options. For instance, you may want to record the time at which you woke up, the number of hours you worked, the number of miles you drove on a particular day. If you're on a diet, you may want to record your weight, or the number of calories that you consumed on that particular day. You may want to record the type of weather of the day, the average temperature, and all sorts of information of that nature. Diary statistics can be entered and viewed in the statistics section of the diary page. By default, the statistics section is collapsed. You can expand it by clicking on the button on the right-hand side of the title bar of that section. And then you can add new statistics by using the link that is in the bottom right corner of the section. Let's say that during my holidays in France, I would like to record information about the weather. So I'll add that, and I'll record that the weather was fair on that day. I may want to record the number of miles I drove. So I'll select the miles driven statistic, add it, and say I drove 200 miles. The application comes with a set of predefined types of statistic. from which I can choose if they are applicable to what I want to record. If I want to create statistic types of my own, I can do that easily. Open the select statistic dialog window, and instead of selecting from the list that already exists, use the add new type button to create a new type of statistic. So I say I want to define a new statistic. For example, during my holidays in France, I may want to record the number of glasses of wine I drink each day. So I'll create a statistic for that. A value of that statistic would be a simple numeric value. It's an integer value. I'm not going to record fractions of glasses. And I will call that statistic glasses of wine. The caption that will be displayed in the statistics section will be the same, and as a description, I can say number of glasses of wine drunk. So I have created a new statistic. I will add it to this current diary page and say that on that day I was moderate and I only drank 2 glasses of wine. If you so wish, you can set up the application so that it presents you automatically with certain statistics every day or on a regular basis, such as once a week or once a month. For example, let's say that I would like the weather statistic to be automatically included in my diary pages for the duration of my holidays in France. To set that up, I right-click on the statistic, and from the menu that appears, I choose the Set Automatic Inclusion menu item. This presents me with some options, and I will choose to automatically include the statistic every day for the duration of my holidays, which start on the 4th of August and end on the 18th of August. As a default value, I will select fair, as I assume that the default weather in France is fair. Similarly, I will set up the miles driven statistic to be automatically included every day for the same period. So this is now set up. If I open another diary page for a date that is within the period that I specified, I can see that the statistics that I have selected are automatically included, and so I can simply enter the relevant values for that particular day. I will do that again for another date so that I have some data to work with. If you have entered statistics in your diary pages and you wish to use them for some other purpose or manipulate them outside of the Memozine application, you can export your statistics to a spreadsheet program such as Microsoft Excel. To do so, right-click on the background of the statistics section, and from the menu, choose the Export Statistics menu item. This opens an Export Statistics dialog box in which you can specify which statistics you want to export. So I'll export the weather statistic, I'll export the miles driven statistic, and why not the glasses of wine statistic. I will export them for the period of my holidays in France, from the 4th of August to the 18th of August. And I will include in the exported data only the dates in which at least one of those statistics has been entered. When I confirm my selection by clicking on the OK button, Microsoft Excel is started and presents me with a spreadsheet containing the statistics that I have selected. So, I have reached the end of my presentation of the Memozine diary functionality. I hope that you didn't find it too boring. If you have any questions or comments, please do not hesitate to send them to us using the contact form on the Memozine website or through Facebook or Twitter if you so prefer. For further information about Memozine and to download your free evaluation copy of the application, please visit the Memozine website at www.memozine.com.